Thanks for joining me again, and if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. In this episode I'd like to show you how I built my box for the toilet and shower enclosure. First thing I did was to position the shower tray, or to get the right position for it, and then drill a hole through the floor. And then I went under the van to find out exactly where the drill had come through. This is an ideal position there. There's enough clearance for the nut once I get the larger hole cut in it. The first time I tried this, I actually drilled through the floor and it came out in the middle of the crossbeam, which wasn't ideal. So the position of it was rather awkward, to be quite honest. Here I'm just cutting through cutting a hole in the shower tray. I should have actually put a piece of wood under this just to give it a bit of support, but it worked out okay. I used a 40mm hole saw for that, and then I'm just tidying up the edges with a file. Now I cut out a template to make a support for the base of the tray, because there's a lip that runs around the edge, and I didn't want that compressing when you stood on it, because I thought there'd be a chance of it cracking. So I decided to make a base out of some ply, which was, I used 12mm ply, I believe it was. Made a template out of cardboard, and then transferred it, and then cut it out with a jigsaw. You can see this ply's got a bit of a damp mark on it, but it's just on the top surface, so it's perfectly fine. It's actually completely dry now. And then when I got the right size, just checked it for fit and made sure the height was right. I didn't want it standing proud of that edge, because it would have defeated the whole object of doing it. You can see the drain that I fitted in the hole there in the shower tray. I actually took that out again. I wasn't happy with the way it was fitting. So I'm just cleaning the base here with some rubbing alcohol, just to get rid of any grease or fingerprints or anything, make sure it sticks properly, the silicone sticks. Putting the silicone on here, and I put some in the middle of each of the circles as well, just to give that a little bit of support when you're standing on it, just in case it cracked. And then it was just a case of dropping the ply in position, and then just using that piece of wood again just to make sure that the height was correct. And then I just left it overnight to dry. And then the next job was to cut a hole through the floor, using the same 40mm hole saw again. And if you're cutting holes through this, it's okay going through the wood and the insulation. It's no problem. When you do when you cut through the floor of the van, just do it very gently. Don't put any pressure on it, because the drill will grab, and it's a lot easier just taking your time. So that's the hole cut. Now it's just a tidying the whole place up, and then I cut a hole in the ply lining of the van, just to make an access hatch for the cassette for the toilet. This is just a very rough cut, this hole. Put another piece of ply in front of this, so I wasn't all that bothered about making that too neat. So there you can see the hole in that ply, and I've got 12mm ply on the wall there. I stuck that on and screwed it to the support braces. I used 12mm ply for this, and this is just to give the plastic some support for the rear wall, and also to give me something to screw the side panels into as well. Now my biggest problem with this was trying to find where I was going to get a straight vertical line from. So what I did was I measured the whole of the ceiling and then divided the measurement in half to give me a centre line. Did this on the ceiling and on the floor, and then once I'd got the size of the frame for the floor, and then measured from the centre line excuse me, to the edge of the frame, and this gave me the measurement I needed for the ceiling. I just measured the same distance from the centre line on the ceiling, and then I knew where to put the frame for the top section. So I then coated the ply in some 3mm plastic, and this is food grade, so it's quite decent quality. I just got this from eBay. There's a lot of places do it. Stuck it on with some Sikaflex 512 and put used a couple of support braces just to hold it in position overnight while it dried. So there you can see this is the frame for the shower tray, just to give it some support. You can see I've put a little piece in the front there, and that'll be where the toilet goes, in the piece in the middle. I actually put some supports under the edge pieces as well after I've got the shower tray in position, just to give it a bit more support there as well. So I don't want it cracking at all. So then it was just a case of siliconing it down, put the tray into position, and then once I was happy with the position, I weighed it down with some, or weighted it down I should say, with some tins of paint and some wood on the edges, just to make sure those edges stuck down properly. And then, like I say, once I had the measurements, I could then transfer that measurement to the ceiling, same distance from the centre line to the edge of that frame, and that gave me the size for the frame. Got this idea from Greg Virgo's channel. I couldn't think of any better way of doing it, so I went with this. Made this out of 12mm ply as well, and then I put some LED lights in, covered it with plastic, and a sheet of acrylic as well. Just exactly the same way as Greg did it in his video. In fact, most of my build is based around Greg's videos. So thanks for that, Greg. So then we're doing the side panels. I made a template out of cardboard first, but I wasn't overly happy that was going to give me an accurate profile. So I transferred the cardboard measurements onto a piece of MDF, 3mm MDF, and then used that as the profile, just to give me a better profile for the edge of the van, or the sides of the van, and then transferred those measurements over onto the ply. I'd rather waste a 3mm sheet of MDF, which cost me, I think it was about £12 or £13, rather than waste a £50 sheet of ply. So that cut both the edges out, or both the end panels out I should say, and then ran the router down the edge just for the T-trim. There's my good lady wife bringing me a cup of tea. And then I cut the holes out for the so they get for the pipe work to go through for the sink, and the two smaller holes there are for the shower mixer, and covered both of them with plastic as well before I put them into position. This saved me having to try and cut the plastic once it was in. If I put the wood in first and then cut the plastic, I would have then had to make a perfect profile for that side as well, off of the edges. So it was much easier doing it beforehand and then putting the sides on. So there's that panel in position. I put some 38mm battens in just to give that wall a bit of support, but that's going to be a cavity. That wall there where the sink is on, that's 9mm ply, and the end panels are 18mm ply. So you can see the pipework's all in position there now, and this is the end panel on, and you can see I've also cut a hole there for the extractor, and left a couple of access holes as well, which I'll just cut a couple of panels to cover those over, just so I can get to the pipework if ever I need to in the future. A couple of notches out of the bottom there for the pipework to run through as well, and there's going to be a cupboard next to that, and then it'll run under the bed. And this is the front section in position, and you can see the cables hanging out of the holes there where the cavity is. I'm going to put a double switch on there, one for the light and one for the extractor. This is inside the toilet when it was in position. You can just see there's 2 screws at the top corner and 2 at the front. And this is the inlet pipe for the flush. Used John Guest fittings for this. So that was the box made. Wanted to do the door as well, but the way the situation is at the moment, I can't get hold of any more ply to finish that off. This is another view, the end view. You can see I've got the extractor hose there as well. Now this hole for the drain, I covered the whole of the inside of it with some silicone, and that way if ever I do get a leak around the drain, the water will just drain straight out of the hole and onto the ground rather than soaking into the silicone, soaking into the insulation and running into the floor. So that'll protect all that area. So here I'm just cleaning the area with a bit of rubbing alcohol just to get rid of any dirt and grease, and then I ran a bead of Sikaflex 512 around the edge and just drop the drain into position. And then I went under the van, put the washer in position and then put the nut on, and I screwed it up, and I didn't screw it overly tight. I just left a little bit of a play in it so that when the silicone goes off and well, it doesn't harden, it sets. Once it's set, I'll tighten that nut up and that'll pull the silicone down into position and give it a better seal, so I shouldn't get any leaks whatsoever. And you can just see the black area around there, that's some underbody seal I've sprayed around the opening as well. I've done that on all the holes that I've drilled under the van. I've painted all the edges with hammerite, but I've also covered them with the underbody seal as well. So this is the finished interior. I've siliconed all the joints up. Everything's in position now, apart from the shower rail, and you can see this, the acrylic is in there with the plastic covering the wood, and I used some mirror screws with the chrome tops on just to hide the screws and finish it off. This is the flip down sink with the swivel tap, and this is just a tip for the when you're drilling acrylic. If you just put a couple of drops of washing up liquid on there, it keeps the drill bit cool, and then don't use a fast speed, just use a slow speed to drill through it. This will stop the acrylic melting, and make sure you support the acrylic properly underneath as well, so it doesn't crack. So this was the vent I wanted to put on the outside for the extractor, which you can see is far too big. I had looked at other vents, but couldn't see a one that was substantial enough to put on the outside of the van, one that could withstand the pressure of the wind going past it when you're driving along. So I decided to modify this one. So I just cut the top piece of that off, and you can see there the profile of it's a lot slimmer and a lot better. There's enough gap there to let the air out. So once I drilled so I cut a hole in the side of the van, painted it with some hammerite, siliconed it up and put the frame into position. And then once that was set, I then siliconed the exterior portion to it and put a uni-strut just propped up against it just to hold it in position while it dried. And you can see there it doesn't stick out too much. It's only it sticks out about 2 inches, I think. And it's not that noticeable. I think it's much better than the flimsy ones I've seen. So this is the extractor hose, and you can just see the white piece there. Well, it's all white, but you can just see that white smooth bit there. That's a one-way vent, not like a one-way flap. Just allows the air to go out and doesn't allow any in. Just to stop anything getting in and up into the position. So that was it done. I was hoping to show you it all with the door on and all finished painted, but obviously I can't get hold of any ply at the moment because of the current situation with the coronavirus. So that's as far as I've got so far. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. Take care. I hope you stay free from this coronavirus, and I hope to see you in the next one. Don't know when it'll be, because I say we can't get a lot done at the moment. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.